All right, so my name is Andre Cohen, and I want to introduce you to some concepts that we'll be talking about in this particular course. And if you're not a part of the course and you're watching this either on YouTube or via our other stream media, you can just follow along. Some of the concepts will certainly make sense to you. We will be posting the notes associated with this particular conversation on our website, and you can go to andrecohen.com to see those things. So I will be using the whiteboard, I'll be using the text, I'll be using some of my notes, so if you see me kind of looking around, grabbing things, that's what I'm doing, and it's part of the method to my madness. So we have a lot to talk about today, and so we'll start off talking about some of the basic concepts that you'll find, particularly in Chapter 1. And so we'll start with this particular principle. So these are the symbols for male and female. And when we talk about human relations, we talk about human diversity, when we talk about cultural competence as it relates specifically to or diversity issues as they relate to human beings, this is where we start. So, what do we know about human beings? And I will. So you'll follow along with me as we go. So when we talk about human beings, and so what we know is that if genetically speaking, if we have a male and a female, and they participate in the biological process of reproduction, they will reproduce what? They will reproduce another human. So male and female, given the biological process, will produce male we'll just do it like that, right? So they will produce male or female, give or take, right? So they'll either produce a male or female what? Human being. So if I have a person from South Africa and I have a person from China and they participate in this biological process, what will they produce? They will produce a human being. If I have a person from Spain and I have a person from Japan and they participate in that biological process of reproduction, they will reproduce what? Another human being. I take someone from the Democratic Republic of the Congo, and I take someone from Canada, and those individuals participate in this biological reproductive process. What will they produce? They will produce a human being. And so what becomes very important when we start having these conversations about diversity or about cultural competence or about multicultural counseling, how to work with people from different groups, the primary place that we must start any conversation is the recognition of each individual's humanity. If we can't recognize their humanity, then we can be of no assistance, we can be of no good to those individuals. So that's the first place that we have to start, is our humanity. And so Paulo Freire talks about some processes associated with our humanity. Right? So humanity, to be human. So what does it mean to be human? Well, there are lots of philosophers, lots of historians, anthropologists, biologists that have really worked to try to define what it means to be human. To the best of our knowledge, what we understand about what it means to be human is is some very basic things, right? So human beings have the ability, above other animals in the animal kingdom, to have metacognition, which means that we have the ability to think about thinking. Now, other biological species on this planet may have thoughts, but from what we understand about ourselves and about the rest of the biological entities that are on this planet, is that we are the only ones that can have that ability to have some forethought and think about our processes of thinking. Thus, Homo sapiens sapiens, the ones who know that they exist, right? So, so humanity. So what does it mean to be human? It becomes the core piece that we have to operate with before we even get into talking about diversity or multicultural counseling or cultural competence, right? So we have to understand the human being themselves. And so I will turn to just a couple of things that a friend of mine, Dr. Jason Campbell, and I call him a friend because I've been reading his stuff and I've been watching his stuff, and this man is absolutely on point and on fire. And so Dr. Jason Campbell has a number of YouTube videos, and actually I'll include those in the link. He's done some very in-depth studies on a number of great philosophers, and one of which is an educational philosopher by the name of Paulo Freire, or Paulo Freire. And that's P-A-U-L-O-F-R-E-E-R-E. So Paulo Freire. And Paulo wrote this book titled The Pedagogy of the Oppressed. What we know about pedagogy is that pedagogy is the process of teaching, the engagement of the learner in this process of teaching. Pedagogy, the methods used to train or to teach individuals a particular thing. And so in this book, The Pedagogy of the Oppressed, what Paulo Freire offers us is a definition or a way of thinking about why the oppressed are oppressed, and it is his belief that they are taught to be so. I've done a number of workshops on poverty and privilege, poverty and wealth, and one of the things that consistently comes up in those trainings is the fact that rich people are taught to be rich and poor people are taught to be poor, both by systems as well as by the individuals that they find themselves around. And so Paulo Freire talks about the pedagogy of the oppressed. And so how is it that the oppressed are taught to be so? And so one of the things that comes up in Jason Campbell's lectures, as well as what Paulo Freire is offering, is that there are some deep needs of the human spirit, of what it means to be human. And so one of the things that they talk about is that humans, or the process of being human, humanity, is to seek for freedom and justice. So human beings, in terms of their activities, are consistently moving towards freedom and justice. They struggle to recover humanity. And we'll talk about the struggle to recover humanity in just a second, because there are some things that try to rob us of our humanity, and we'll get a chance to talk about that in just a second. So Dr. Campbell also talks about the emancipation of labor. So people, as a human being, we want the ability to not only work for ourselves, but determine who we work for and how we work, and use that as our discretionary method of engagement in community. And then we want to overcome alienization. Meaning, we consistently want to be a part of the group. We want to be part of the group. Now, as you look at these things, you may find some interesting things that these somewhat line up with Abraham Maslow's hierarchy of needs. And you will also find that Alfred Adler talks about these things as well. And so we'll get to those as well. And then lastly, affirmation of the individual. And so Paulo Freire says that this is true and authentic humanity. The fight for freedom and justice. If you ask any kid, one of the things that young people are always striving for is this sense of justice. If they don't feel that they're getting justice, they will say, I don't want to do that because this is not fair. And so we're constantly striving for this justice. And then freedom, the ability to do what one wills, when one wants, or the ability to make choices based on one's goals as opposed to being dictated to or participating in an authoritarian system. We typically are seeking freedom. All too often we are seeking to recover our humanity, and we'll talk about this concept in just a second, this recovery of humanity, because, well, we'll talk about that. And then there's the emancipation of labor, that people want the ability to make choices about how they show up in the world, right? So we'll erase all of that stuff, and we'll get to, I'm going to leave that recovery of humanity right there. I'm going to go back and draw our graph or our symbols. And what I mean by so I'll draw the symbols over here. So male plus female biologically equals a male or female, right? So human plus human equals human, right? Human plus human equals human. So Paulo Freire says that those examples that I just gave you is what it means to be human, or some of the motivations of human beings. And the one that I wanted to kind of hang my hat on was this recover their humanity. So people are constantly trying to recover their humanity. Because what Paulo also says is that there is a process called dehumanization. And dehumanization, if you look at the word, you all obviously see D, which means less. The shun is about a process, so it's the process of deconstructing human beings, or the process of breaking down human beings. And so one of the things that so here are the 5 things that Paulo Freire offers that are a part of the process of breaking down humanity. One is injustice. So injustice is problematic because it breaks down the concept of humanity as Paulo Freire gives it to us. Second is exploitation. And exploitation is simply the process of not getting the benefits of your own work ethics or your work efforts. Then there is oppression. And the key word in there being, the root word being press, to keep down. And oppression can happen in lawful ways as well as unlawful ways. So it is the process of keeping groups of people oppressed, keeping them subservient, not letting them live to their fullest potential. The fourth way that dehumanization, of this process of dehumanization happens, is through the use of violence and the fear of violence, right? So violence and the fear of violence. And dehumanization typically happens to those who believe that their humanity has been robbed. And number 6, the other part of this dehumanization process is that those who have been robbed attempt to rob others. So this becomes a system that is self-perpetuating, right? So injustice is knowing what the rules are, playing by the rules, but the rules not falling in your favor, although they're supposed to. When we look at particularly certain groups' participation in the criminal justice system, the criminal justice system is supposed to look at individuals as being innocent first and then proven guilty. However, injustice is happening more often than not because individuals are seen as a threat, as a problem, as a criminal before the justice system can even take place. We even justify that or allow that to happen by talking about the court of public opinion. That someone in the media or in the blogosphere or on Twitter can be found guilty by those slacktivists, if you will. They can be found guilty before the courts have even assigned guilt or innocence, right? And then there's exploitation. When the benefits of my own effort, I'm not able to receive benefits of, right? And so for an example, there are major corporations that are doing well and making millions of dollars. There are CEOs and executives that make 1,000 times % what their lowest paid workers are making. And so one could say that system that compensates folks not for their efforts, because I'm not sure how you can work 1,000 times more effective than another individual, or how bonuses actually increase your effectiveness as it relates to compensation. What I have found is that I can't give more money to make someone more creative, right? I can't give someone money as the only motivator for innovation. However, so this exploitation becomes a part of this dehumanizing process. The system of oppression that says, look, this is how you are, this is where we'll keep you, you can't get any further. When that oppression becomes internalized, then it becomes somewhat dehumanizing. And then number 4, violence and fear. That this fear of violence, because sometimes it's not even the act of violence itself, but it is the thought of the violence or the fear that is associated with the violence that actually dehumanizes folks. And so when humanity is robbed, when people think that they are robbed by their humanity, if I am not human, what am I? All right? And if I'm not human and I am an animal, then, we'll use teenage logic. Teenage logic says, if you accuse me of doing something, then I may as well do it. Now, doesn't make sense to the adult mind, but to the teenage mind, that makes logical sense. It is, and you know what I'm talking about. All right? So, and then what we find is that those who feel or think that they've been robbed of their humanity rob others of their humanity, and then those who are robbed from their humanity rob others from their humanity, and so all of a sudden we have this cyclical system that is very much like the crabs in the bucket mentality. And I don't know if you've ever heard of that before, but the crabs in the bucket is basically that you don't have to put a lid on a bucket. If you put a bunch of crabs in there, they will keep themselves in the bucket, because as one crab is climbing out, another crab will grab him and lower himself so that he may rise above that crab, keeping all of the crabs with no advancement, with no success, with no escape out of this bucket that seems to not have any limitations. And so we have these 6 factors that contribute to the dehumanization of individuals. Now, let's go back to the fact that human beings are always trying to recover their humanity. They're always trying to recover their humanity. Here is the problem with what it means to be dehumanized. So people feel injustice, they feel exploited, they feel oppression, they fear violence, the violence is impacted on them, they feel like they're robbed of their humanity, so they rob other people of their humanity. So this whole system occurs because people have forgotten what is true and good about them all the time. Human being plus human being equals human being. Human being plus human being equals human being. Which means that although injustice is happening to me, although exploitation is happening to me, although oppression is happening to me, although violence is happening to me, although the fear of violence is happening to me, although I feel like I've been robbed of my humanity, although I feel like I've robbed someone of their humanity, or someone's trying to rob me of my humanity, what is constantly true in every one of these situations? That human plus human equals human. And so even though there is this dehumanization process, no matter what, I am still human. I'm human, right? So even though there are lawful and unlawful laws that are designed to oppress me and make me not feel human, the truth is I'm still human. Now, the paradox is that the attempt to dehumanize someone only solidifies their humanity. So the fact that someone says, I hate you, that only solidifies the fact that they care about me. Because the opposite of love is not hate. The opposite of love is not caring at all. And so if we have a system that is constantly working to dehumanize someone, all it does, or groups of people, all it does is greater affirm their humanity. So why is it that this dehumanization process is in place? One of the tricks of this whole process, why does injustice happen? Why does exploitation happen? Why does oppression happen? Why does violence happen? Why do people do things poorly in their own neighborhood? Why do they rob from people in their own neighborhoods? Why do they burn down things in their own neighborhoods? Because they've succumbed to this process of dehumanization, and they have laid down their humanity. You see, no one can take your humanity away from you. It can't be taken away from you because the genes, the process that created you, only created you human. However, I have a choice to disconnect myself from my humanity. I could say the injustices that I face, they are treating me as though I am not human, therefore I am not going to act human. And so when we see this breakdown between humanity and the human being, we understand that this is a process where choices are being made. People have fallen for the illusion that dehumanization has happened. Now, here is the twist to all of this. That once this process of dehumanization is engaged, once you enter into the gates of this dehumanization process, the only way that these 6 things maintain their trueness, maintain their hold on your reality, is if you believe them and act according to these things. right? So there's a simulation that I oftentimes do with my classes, with my workshops, and what I will do is I'll set up a system that exploits some and is unjust and has oppression, and there's some violence or fear of violence as a part of this this exchange. And so people get cards and they get chips, and they're desperate amounts. So some groups get a lot of resources, some groups don't get hardly any resources, and some groups get a middle-sized group of resources. And then I treat the ones with lots of resources really well, and I treat the ones with almost no resources, I treat them really bad. And then I treat the folks in the middle, I treat them, respectfully, right? So I set the scenario up, and they play the game, and as they're playing the game, people start to notice the injustice, the exploitation, the oppression, and the violence, and they play the game. And so after about 45 minutes, we end the game, we sit down, and we have conversations, we deconstruct what has happened in the game. And this is one of the questions that I ask when we deconstruct the game, when we're debriefing the game. And then I asked him, did you notice the injustice? Did you notice the exploitation? Did you notice the oppression? Did you notice the violence? Did you notice how I was treating some people respectfully and others not respectfully? Did you see how you started to act towards one another given the constraints that I had given you? And they said, yeah. And so I said, so what made this activity work? And some people said, because I had more chips. Other people will say, because I wanted to win. Other folks will say, because this is the thing that we're supposed to be doing at this time. And I smile at them, and I laugh, and I said, all of those are great answers, but the only reason that this activity worked, the only reason that dehumanization works, is because you participate in it. When we believe all of these things, that people deserve injustice because of where they come from, that they are aliens of some sort, or that people deserve exploitation because I'm smarter than them, and so I happen to have degrees or letters after my name, so therefore I deserve some things and they don't, and so therefore I should exploit them because I'm a better human being, or I'm more human than someone else. When we let the system of oppression, when we play these games, or when we allow these games to continue on, then we become part of this illusion that makes people want to give up their humanity. Because I am always born human, but I can make the decision to lay my humanity down, particularly when all of these things are stacked up against me. It makes me think that I'm not human, and so I spend more time trying to recover what I never lost. Because one of the things that, before we go any further, we have to recognize that all human beings are born perfectly who they are. They're born with purpose. They have power. They have the ability to do things. And as helpers, it is our job to try to figure out what that purpose is, to help them find the purpose or decide what the purpose is. It is our responsibility to engage them in such a way that they're able to maintain their humanity in everything that they do. This is Andre Cohen. We're going to take a break, and then we'll come right back.